quality shot right there.
Your official home for Beavers sports. On the campus of Bemidji State University, this is The Huddle with Zach Lunt and Dan Amundsen. The Huddle starts now.
Welcome to The Huddle. I'm your host, Zachary Lunt. Co-host over here, Dan Amundsen.
How you doing today?
Pretty good.
Good.
All right, Dan, we'll start off with basketball here. So women's lose both on Friday and Saturday. Friday's score was 76-53, and on Saturday it was 70-52. What do you think about this?
Well, getting towards the end of the season, we've got 2 weeks left. These games are kind of meaningless at this point. Seeding for the playoffs are going to be low. It doesn't really matter. I'd say these last couple of games are kind of worthless. So get some new players in there. I know it's a young team. Get them more experience. They're facing a lot of adversity, so get them a little more experience, kind of getting over that. Other than that, these games are kind of worthless.
Yeah, for sure. So the men's win Friday against U of Mary, 70-47. That's a pretty big win. And then on Saturday they lose almost in double OT, but it was the first OT, 79-76.
Yep.
What's your thoughts on those games?
Well, I think that's like their fourth straight split. So 500, sure, whatever. We'll kind of take it. You can either take it or leave it. Again, they're going to be, I'd say, like it's a 16 team tournament. I think I was looking at it, they'd either be like 15, 14, maybe 13, I guess. So it's going to be low. So again, these next two games are kind of worthless and meaningless. But again, it's a game. You got to go play it. There's a reason that the score's not written down. There's a reason you play the game, because we don't know the winner. So go play it, have some fun, get kids some more experience, and enjoy it. It's a fun sport to play.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so hockey now. We got women's hockey. They won over the weekend, 4-2 on Friday, and then on Saturday they also won, but 2-1 in OT.
Mm-hmm.
What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, they took care of business against a team that they should have taken care of business, and we've been kind of sleeping on them through the whole season, I guess. Maybe me more than other people have been. But they're a team that's sitting in fourth right now in the WCHA, and a team that I haven't really thought highly of throughout the season. But if things go right this weekend, they could have a home playoff series, just like our men's team. It's an unlikely scenario. I guess not unlikely, but it's going to be a difficult scenario, as they're going to have to win both games against Minnesota next weekend, and Ohio State, who plays Wisconsin, can't win in regulation this weekend. So it's very possible Wisconsin's a good team, but they'd have to take 2 wins in regulation for that to happen, and Bemidji would have to lose both games against Minnesota, so it's unlikely, but still something. Win, that's, yeah.
Bemidji has to win both.
I'm getting my teams mixed up. I told you this would happen. It's a difficult scenario, kind of confusing, but it's possible, and it's something that is worth noting.
Yeah, so the upcoming game, like you're saying, was against Minnesota. Mm-hmm. Should we be worried about playing against Minnesota this weekend? Is this a game we should be really focused on and worried that we could possibly get pushed out?
Oh, 100%. We're sitting on that bubble. I think it's a 4-point bubble between us and Ohio State in 3 and 4, and Minnesota's a very good team. They're very solid. They're second in the WCHA. It's Minnesota. When people think of hockey in Minnesota, they think of the U of M, and that's exactly who they're playing. But they do have to come up to Bemidji. It's our home turf. Again, we don't get the biggest crowds at Sanford Center for those games, but still, it's your own turf. You don't have to travel. You're not staying in a hotel room. Stuff happens, and papers fall off tables.
For sure. All right, so men's win this weekend. On Friday, 3-2 in double OT, and then win on Saturday, 3-0. Thoughts on that game?
Well, they're rolling. Northern Michigan's a really good team, and in a league the way the WCHA is and college hockey is, you play your best hockey at the end of the year, you can go on a really big run, and they're doing that right now. That was win number 4 in a row, and so they've got 2 more this weekend at Sanford Center, and they're playing at the top of their game. Driscoll's playing really, really well after really struggling beginning of the year. He was a piece that you and I were talking about that's causing this team to not win both their games in a weekend. And he's turned his game around. He played both games this weekend and had a shutout on Saturday. And so he's playing really, really well. I expect him to play both games again this weekend. And these are another 2 big games if they want a home playoff series. These are 2 games you're going to have to go win, and it's going to be really, really fun. The last 2 at Sanford Center, I expect a lot more fans are going to be out there realizing the the big deal these games are and how much fun and how well they're actually playing right now.
So the Beavers playing us last weekend. Do you wonder why Driscoll's in that all the time? Or is it just because he's on a hot streak, or what do you think? Because Johnson was doing pretty well, and all of a sudden he just got disappeared. I don't know anything about it, but do you know anything at all?
I don't either, because that was kind of a weird switch. It was kind of like over Christmas break and stuff in that December kind of time period where all of a sudden a switch made and we're like, oh, Driscoll's playing and he's actually playing well, and where'd Johnson go? Because it was, for a while, it was like, why isn't Henry Johnson playing both games in a weekend? And we weren't sure.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden it's Driscoll taking both games. It's kind of weird. I've heard no news. Maybe he's got a little undisclosed injury, but he's been on the bench. He's been their backup goalie. He's their number 2. I don't know.
Maybe somebody. I mean, maybe Sartori saw something in him that we didn't see.
Well,
Obviously, we're on the outside, so we're not on the inside of everything.
That's just it. It could be where Driscoll was one of those guys where Sartori brought him in and was like, I really like this kid. I want you to succeed. We're going to do everything we can to get you to succeed. And this being a season where the Beavers aren't supposed to go win the NCAA tournament. They're not destined to do that. And so this is kind of a year where you could take a sophomore goalie. They're both sophomore goalies.
Yep.
You could take a sophomore goalie like Driscoll, try and develop him. If you see something in him, you want him to be your number 1 the next 2 years, or say, hey, we want you to go and be our guy, but you're not performing right now. But they're going to try and stick with him, which they kind of did on those Saturday games. But they had Johnson in there to try and get him a win or 2, I guess. And now all of a sudden he's found his game, Driscoll has, and he's their guy. And maybe that's what's going on. He's going to be their guy from here on out.
Yeah, well, hopefully they do stick with him because he's been on a hot streak. Upcoming game, right? Bowling Green.
Yep.
Do you think the Beavers need a sweep against Bowling Green to even stay in home playoffs?
They're going to need to play really, really well. They're at least going to need, I would say, 2 wins, whether it happens in overtime or regulation, or 3-on-3 or shootout, I guess. That's where the differential comes in. When you get to that 3-on-3 overtime, that shootout, that's where you only get 2 points versus 3.
Yep.
You're gonna need things to go in your favor. So that means winning and other teams losing. I think Northern Michigan plays Lake Superior State, if I remember that correctly, and we're tied with Northern Michigan now, and Lake Superior State's hanging in that 3 spot. So they're gonna kind of battle it out and try and knock each other around, and so it's a really complicated scenario, more complicated than I know what to even put into words, as you saw me try and put the other one, which was simpler, into words.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to try and describe what has to happen, as there's so many different ways of if teams go into a shootout, if we go into a shootout, if other teams win in regulation. It's a lot more complicated than the NHL scoring does for their standing points. But we need everything to basically go in our favor, especially with a weekend like we have coming up next weekend when we go down to Mankato to finish the season.
Yeah, and do you think the Mankato game is that if we win both this weekend, do we think we will have to win both on Mankato? I guess it'll just depend on standings, I
It
guess.
depends what happens. It really depends what happens with those other teams. But that's a weekend that worries me because I feel like we're going to need wins on that weekend. And I don't think we can go get both wins.
I also think that the Mankato game will show, even if we lose both and we don't get home playoffs possibly, it just shows that our team, how our team can respond to them, and maybe they can get a game plan for next time.
Well, for sure, because if you want to make a run in these playoffs, you're going to have to go through a good team like that, whether it be Mankato or you get to the NCAA tournament. You're going to be playing teams better than Mankato or whatnot, although they're about as good as it gets. I think I saw they were 4th in the nation right now.
Yeah, they're really good.
They're good. And if you go down to Mankato and take 1 game, I'm really happy with that because that's going to be tough.
Yep.
It's tough to play down there. They're really good. They're good at home. So that's, again, I think that's what could screw us out of a home playoff series. But time will tell. They've got to focus on this weekend first and take care of business.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, that's all we got for this week. We'll see you guys next week.
You